Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. I certainly am. So, the new Flesh Eater Court rules have leaked, and I'm really excited to look into them. Specifically, I'm going to be covering the match play rules, as those are predominantly what's been making the rounds lately. Probably some of you watching probably have already seen them too, but I just want to talk about them a little bit more. So, well, spoiler warning, obviously. Let's get started. So, new match play rules. Well, first, the biggest one to start with is there's a new heroic action for the faction. What this new heroic action does is that you get access to it in addition to the other ones that generally come in the rule set. So, let's say in a turn you don't want to need an extra CP or you don't want to do your best day ever for whatever reason. You can instead do this heroic action, and what it basically does is it gives one hero the Vargolf style of mustering. So what I mean by that is you pick this heroic action, and that hero will then roll 6 dice, and you return a model to a unit within 10 for each 2+ you roll, and you can return a model, a knight model specifically, for each 5+, and you can scatter them around on all the units within 10 inches. Essentially, it's exactly like the Vargolf's version of it. So that alone is pretty good. But what really is nice is that it doesn't appear to prevent you from doing anything else in that hero phase as well. So basically, you could pick a hero. That hero can pick this heroic action. It does the Vargolf style mustering, like I said, and then it can do its own version of mustering right after. So unless I'm misreading something, it seems to be this is just a free extra mustering. So that's not bad in and of itself, because as anyone who's probably seen and or played and or just heard, Flesh Eater Courts are not the most durable army in general, so any amount of extra, regeneration is always welcome. So I'm not gonna call this the biggest thing ever, but it's a nice little bonus. So that's a plus for me. So, but the next bit I want to talk about is, I think, the real meat and potatoes of this. So let's get to that. So there's been major updates to the faction's Charnel Throne. So for those unaware, the Charnel Throne is the specific faction terrain for the Flesh Eater Courts. I'm just gonna begin this by just saying I am really impressed with the rules updates for this faction terrain. Like you guys, everyone remember like the Beasts of Chaos update where their herdstone just went from like 50 to 100 basically overnight. This is okay. Well, actually, I'm going to stop myself right there. This is not quite to that level of update, but this is still a very nice change up that I think we're all going to enjoy. So first thing is that there's been a change to how one of its rules, Ghoulish Landmark, works. So instead of just simply subtracting 1 bravery from enemy units and adding +1 bravery to friendly units like it did before. Now, all enemy units that are within 12 inches of it, apparently they cannot be affected by any abilities that allow units to ignore battle shock tests. So let me just repeat that. Any enemy units within 12 cannot be affected by any abilities that allow units to ignore battle shock tests. See, this is pretty big. Now, I know the first thing you're probably thinking, okay, there's an enemy within 12, can't use Inspiring Presence. Great. That alone's pretty good. But then I actually started to think, so for one thing, it specifically says any abilities. So, because it doesn't specifically mention it applies just to Inspiring Presence. Like, for example, the new Night Haunt ability specifically says you can't use Inspiring Presence within a certain distance of them. But this just says any ability. So then I actually started to think, does that include non-command abilities? Like for example, like Oziark Bone Reapers, they have a specific faction ability that allows them to just ignore battle shock altogether. But then this Charnel Throne's now saying that they are not affected by any abilities that would prevent battle shock. So does that mean if they're within range, they actually lose their battle shock immunity? by that and just by that also point, what about Phoenix Guard? Like Phoenix Guard have an ability where if they're within a certain range of one of their heroes, they ignore Battle Shock too. Do they lose their abilities as well? If I'm like, correct me if I'm reading this incorrectly, but I hope I'm not, because this is really nice. Okay, now let's stop the brakes here. It is only within 12 inches of the terrain piece, and it's a pretty small terrain piece, so it's not going to be taking up a huge portion of the battlefield. But if they are within range, it's not something to discount either. So yeah, that's not bad. However, the follow-up ability, however, I think this is where we get really interesting. So ruler of all he surveys, the next ability for the new War Scroll update, it basically means that while a friendly Flesh Eater Court's hero is garrisoning this terrain piece, all friendly Flesh Eater Court's heroes wholly within 12 inches of this terrain can issue Summon Men-at-Arms, Summon Courtier, Summon Royal Guard, and Summon Imperial Guard commands without a command point being used. So let's just stop and just think about that. That means you could have one hero garrisoning this throne, and then have three other heroes that have these summoning command abilities within 12. And in one turn, they can all use their ability for free. Okay, so yeah, like no command point spent. You start the command, you roll to Inspiring Presence, get your extra command. You have 3, 4, or however many command points, and you don't have to spend a single one to summon every single one. That is huge. Like I think in one fell swoop, I think Flesh Eater Cores now have the best summoning in a single turn in the game. Like, because I mean, for absolutely nothing, you can just say everybody summons, and you could bring in hundreds of points worth of units to the field instantaneously. Like, I don't think there's anything else in the game that even compares to that. So you're playing in a 2,000 point game, and then all of a sudden your opponent just summons like 500 to 700 points in a. Well, I'm rounding up or down pretty hard because I can't do the math in my head. But you basically like you could potentially like double your army instantaneously. Like I'm even kind of thinking like how would this work in like lower points games? Like you could probably like easily maybe even more than double your army. Like well okay maybe not that but a lot. So yeah, I think this like I don't know if it will be as game changing as the Beasts of Chaos is, like Infinite Rend, but this is still something not to discount. Okay, so now we're getting to the finals of the new match play rules, and basically, like all other units, they got a new grand strategy and new battle tactics. So these range from okay to I don't know. So the grand strategy, basically, how it works is that you complete this grand strategy if at least 3 friendly Flesh Eater Court units on the battlefield are still in the battlefield and were not part of your starting army. So I'm probably explaining that I'm probably like phrasing that pretty bad, but essentially what's happening is that I bet you're probably the most obvious thing is that if you have you summon 3 units onto the field, at least if they're still alive by the end of the game, you get this. So yeah, that's actually not too bad because yeah, that seems pretty plausible to do because like okay, let's say like I said, you have your four heroes next to your throne. They all summon for free in one turn, and you just have to keep 3 out of 4 of them alive until the end of the game. So you can just maybe keep them in the back, keep them like garrisoning objectives, send all your main stuff up, do all the dirty work, and then at the end of the game, bam, grand strategy done. So yeah, that's actually not bad. I like that one. Now, the battle tactics, I'm a little unsure of. Because for one, okay, one of them is, the first one is, okay, you have to kill one unit with shooting attacks by a Crypt Flare, a Royal Terrorgeist, or an Abhorrent Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. Basically, the theme is you scream them to death. So, I don't know about this one. Like, I'm sure it's doable, but from what I've seen, I've never been particularly impressed with the Flesh Eater Court's screaming attacks. Like, they either do lots or they do absolutely nothing. Because it's mortal wounds on the one hand, but it's based on, like, this mechanic of rolling against leadership, stuff. And I don't know. I'm a little on the fence on that one. Now the next one, however, I think is pretty straightforward. You pick an enemy monster that's not been allocated 5 or more wounds in this turn, and you kill it. You get the battle tactic, and if you kill it with an abhorrent, you get an additional point. This one, I think I like this one the best because it's pretty straightforward. Like, okay, you see a monster there, get your Ghoul King on Terrorgeist into it. Damn, feeding frenzy at dead. Okay, there's your one free point right there. So I think this is doable. Now, obviously, it'll depend on what you're actually facing, because if you're fighting a non-monster army, it is what it is. But it's good to have. Last one, I'm also on the fence on a little bit. So basically, you pick one objective the enemy controls, but before if you take that objective before the end of the turn, you get the point. Then unfortunately there's a catch. You have to be contesting it with 1 Surf unit, 1 Knight unit, and 1 Courtier unit. And so my issue with this is that, okay, on the one hand, if you just happen to still have all those models there and they all happen to be on the objective that you just took, great, it's yours. But the problem is, this is fleshier cores we're talking about here. If you're in late game, you're trying to get this, there is a very high possibility, like maybe more than 70%, that all your Serfs or all your Knights or all your Courtier models might be dead. Like, I'm not saying they all would be, but one of any specific kind, sorry, might be gone. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. But, then again, you can do a lot of, like I said, due to the fleshier chords like Major, Buff, and Summoning, you could definitely bring extra of each. So, yeah, you know what? Again, I'm a little bit on the fence on that one. I think there are better ones, but I think it's doable. Because the other thing to keep into account is you also need to make sure they're all on the objective as well in a single turn. Like, you got to make sure they're not all spread out everywhere. Like, okay, my Serf's over there fighting that, my Courtier's hiding behind this rock, and my Knights are dead. Yeah, I don't know. I think out of all of them, the kill a monster one's probably the most straightforward. It just seems the most believable that they could pull off. So, of them all, I'd say I give the grand strategy a thumbs up. I think that's a pretty good grand strategy overall. Not the best one ever, but definitely not the worst. Battle tactics, I'm gonna give maybe 6.5 out of 10, maybe. Like, could be better, could definitely be worse, but maybe some more effort would have been nice. So overall, my thoughts, I would say, from what I've seen, I quite like this update. Yeah, like, now I wouldn't quite put it on like the S tier level that Beasts of Chaos got with their one. Like, that one was just like the Beasts of Chaos update was just astounding. Like, I consider, in terms of White Dwarf updates, I consider that like the bar by which all updates are judged, as far as I'm concerned. So, and out of all the updates of the 3rd edition so far, I would put this, honestly, I would say this, in my opinion, at the moment, I would put this as maybe the 2nd best update so far. Like, and I do mean that. Like, the ability, like, their now ability to just summon so much onto the table in one turn, plus the new heroic action, just get a little bit more, like, a little bit more healing in general. I think, yeah, this is definitely, I would say, definitely helped the overall army's durability immensely. Now, will this actually translate into more winning? I think so. Yeah. Well, just by the sheer fact is that you can very easily overwhelm an unwary opponent. Like, if you just summoning hundreds of points onto the table and there's nothing they can do about it, I guarantee you, if they don't plan ahead for that, your opponent is really going to be caught with, okay, oh geez, okay, there's a new unit over here, there's a new unit on my other flank. There's Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragons streaming up the board. What do I do? Like, but if they do know what to do, okay, then it could still go either way, because at the moment, Flesh Eater Courts, they definitely took a hit overall this edition due to the loss of their unlimited feeding frenzy. But maybe they might just be able to make up for it now, as instead of being the feeding frenzy army, maybe now they're the summon infinite units onto the board. Maybe. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day, everybody. Bye.